It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, talks of empty office spaces in buildings once filled to the brim continue to be an issue for owners of these spaces. Rent is too high for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Bamboo is a co-working space that has positioned itself to fill the need of office space without the large commitments required renting a whole building. With 5 locations across Michigan, including one of its newest locations in Midtown, Amanda Lewen says Bamboo started from a grassroots idea from a group of friends. She spoke with me to talk more about Bamboo and the current state of Michigan's small business ecosystem.
Our partners at Invest Detroit had been renovating an old historic building that used to be a middle school, the Jefferson Intermediate School, located at 950 Selden. And they put out an RFP looking for a partner that would help manage the building, but also program it and bring it to life in support of small businesses and startups, which is exciting to us at Bamboo. We have a very entrepreneurial community. And for those who haven't seen the building yet, it is gorgeous. It's very historic. It has parking. It has these really cool amenities like a swimming pool turned into an event space. So it was a dream project and a dream partner to work on. And we just opened in November.
You co-founded Bamboo in 2013. So why did you all decide to open Bamboo when you did?
Yeah, at that point, we were a couple friends. We came together. There really wasn't a space to work on ideas yet. We were all young entrepreneurs, and we wanted a space that felt diverse and inclusive and accessible. So one of our 4 friends, Mike Ferlito, who's still my business partner today, his dad owned a building downtown that actually had a studio empty for 10 years. And so we pitched him on this crazy idea. Can we pilot a co-working space? We started with a $5,000 loan that we borrowed from him and bought IKEA furniture and then just started to build the community. So it was very grassroots, very lean. Started paying rent, but in the meantime, we said you could show the space. And over a few years, then just evolved our model. We moved into the Julian C. Madison building downtown. Definitely are still managing like growth and had the pandemic years, which slowed everything down for a while for everybody. But yeah, it was really that spirit of we wanted a place where people felt welcome and could work on innovative ideas together and be around other people building.
Talk about how you all adapted during the pandemic. I know it was tough for a lot of different businesses, yet here you all are expanding.
Yeah, I think so much has changed in our industry and in Detroit in 10 years. But to speak high level to co-working, when the pandemic hit, everybody started to value work from home, but pretty, soon after really value community still and flexibility and things that co-working spaces really offers, that third space. I think you may know the U.S. Surgeon General said that we're in a loneliness epidemic. And so while working from home may be great and may be the best choice for some people, having an option whether to just book a conference room, host a team offsite, have a mail address, or have your office but only come in a couple days a week is very flexible. So at first, and during those pandemic years, it was, a little rocky. People were at home. But now definitely people are back in co-working. And co-working is actually only like 2 or 3% of the overall commercial real estate market. So it's still a growing niche segment. And I think some cities see a little more co-working than others, but it is a little bit still new and growing in Michigan.
Just once again, sticking with the pandemic, what were some of the things that you all were able to add or improve about the co-working space? What were some good things that came out of the pandemic for Bamboo?
Good things, I would say. At the time, we actually were opening our second location, Bamboo Royal Oak, and I was pregnant with my first kid. So it was kind of a wild time for us. And I do remember some people came up to me all the time. Are you actually going to do that co-working thing still? And my sassy answer was, yes, we have a mortgage. But also we believed that the long-term trends would eventually bring people back. And now you see, I think, a couple more trends post-pandemic that really benefit co-working would be distributed teams. So the bigger the team, sometimes they just want to offer their employees, here's some co-working credits. Instead of us having a big office, we're saving a ton of money, but we can provide you access to Bamboo across the state of Michigan. So we're seeing some trends of teams in Detroit and Ann Arbor, or in Ann Arbor and Grand Rapids. People really want privacy for phone calls. So there's phone booths and lots of meeting spaces. You can get an office just for a day. So a lot more rentals and flexibility, but they still want common areas and community. And I think that human need for community has just grown even more, especially as we exited the pandemic.
And we're sticking with bamboo just a little bit longer, but I do want to talk about your model or the subscription type of plan or this how people are paying for the spaces.
Yeah, it is exactly a subscription, and it's kind of like going to a gym. You can sign up. You can literally walk in or book online an office for a day, a conference room, or sign up for 1 month, month to month, or some offices do stay with us multiple years. And it ends up being more affordable and flexible, especially if your team, than building out an office, committing to a 5-year, 10-year lease, building out space. So it tends to be flexible and actually more cost efficient. And then you get access to a big, beautiful space that our team takes care of, manages, does the coffee, plans the social events. Our spaces are very active hubs. You bump into other entrepreneurs and innovators and remote workers. And, maybe you don't want to talk to people. There's a lot of private spaces for that. But also, there's easy options to make friends and reconnect with the community again. And those are all, good things. We do more together when we're connected to people versus isolated at home and just always online. I think that's culturally a benefit for us to do as a society.
And Amanda, so switching gears here and talking about Detroit Startup Week. So
yeah,
give me the background about Detroit Startup Week. When did you decide to put it together and what motivated you?
Yeah, Detroit Startup Week was a fun event that we used to do in partnership with Venture Catalyst and Monica Wheat and Techstars. Really having anchor events bring a whole community together. And before the pandemic, we were seeing up to 10,000 attendees. It was massive. We did go online for a while. We currently haven't brought that event back just yet, but we're partners in a lot of other big events. And there's now Black Tech Saturdays conferences happening, Michigan Tech Week. We just hosted Midwest House Summit. But those sort of big events really, they tell a story of the culture and community in Detroit on a national and global stage. And they make it easy to plug into what we call an ecosystem, which really is like a network of support. So if you're starting a company, one, it's hard to start a company just sitting at home. You need to be around other people building. It's a tough journey. You might need an investor. You might need to apply for a loan. What path is the right path for your business model? And being around other people successfully operating companies helps teach you and go faster. And that's kind of why we do bigger events or partner with more people on things like that.
How important is it for aspiring business owners to have a space to work in and to really start to hone their skills?
I do think it's very helpful. I would say maybe not everyone can afford space yet, even though our membership starts at everything from $20 for a day pass or $40 to $50 a month for a virtual office. You can still come to free events. We have meetups that are free and accessible for the community. If you're in Ann Arbor, every Wednesday morning, there's an event called 1 Million Cups. Free community support. You can meet other people building and learn from them. If you're in Detroit, we often have monthly co-working days. But you do need to be around other people building. It's going to help you innovate faster and just learn, right? And you can't do everything when you're starting a company. You have to do everything at first, and then you have to find people to help you. So there's no better way to find people than joining a community where you can ask, who did your accounting? Who's a lawyer that can do just a 1-hour call with me on this really particular issue? How do I launch my tech startup or fundraise and raise venture capital? We actually at Bamboo Midtown, we have one member who shared with me an app idea and didn't know that another member, literally a couple offices down, had just raised $2 million for his startup. And so when he goes to raise funding, he can ask him, who did you raise from? How did you do it? What's the best approach? And, do you have referrals for me? And that sort of natural, referrals and connection just happens in a vibrant community.
Entrepreneurs or just business owners who are maybe at a certain level, mid-level, or starting to increase, but they have an issue scaling up. It's something I hear often. This is a little bit of a side piece, but just scaling up. What do you tell people when they are looking to scale up?
I think that really depends on the situation they're in. But this actually came up last night at an event I was at. A company doing really well in Ann Arbor, but looking at how do they grow and scale? Do they stay here or go to California? And if you think about it from an economic development standpoint, Michigan has been a zero, no growth, no population growth state for several years. It's starting to change. State of Michigan had Hillary Doe as a chief population growth officer. But collectively as a community, we need diversity of companies. We need opportunities, or the next generation isn't going to stay. So I think we're still figuring that out as an ecosystem. There's a lot of early stage startup support, but if you're in that growth stage, Series A, Series B, been around 10 years, plugging in and finding other peers. And I think capital is kind of the biggest pain point. And sometimes you don't have enough of that capital here, but you can raise from all over and still have a headquarters in Detroit where it is more affordable than California, where you do have really great talent and diverse talent. So I think that's like a very individual choice and challenge per company, but there's a lot of benefits to being in Michigan.
Where are we right now in the state of Michigan in terms of like just the growth of small businesses, the growth of entrepreneurship? Because once again, working in the news industry, I hear about all types of stuff happening, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's widespread. So what are you seeing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Now that we're in 5 cities, every city has its own pain and gains, I would say. I think a lot of cities took many years to come back together from the pandemic. I don't think people realize that. I have small business friends that are still kind of recovering or having like finally in 2025, 2026, having really good years or still figuring out their model. So the pandemic was truly disruptive. And, leases sometimes are 3-5 years. So you see some retail changing, you see some offices changing. But I think every city has its own unique challenges. Detroit in particular is a very fast growing, early emerging tech ecosystem. And because of that, you have different challenges like how do you support the growth stage folks if you have a lot of earlier stage tech community. I think, too, like we're very humble in Detroit. There are people building really cool things and very experienced people who maybe aren't plugged in yet to the ecosystem. So come to a Bamboo event, look up different communities and participate. We need all levels of talent contributing because we want Michigan to not be a zero growth state. We need diverse jobs and we need to support each other to be a great place to live.
New mom. You were a new mom,
yeah.
Back in the pandemic. You had so many different things. What are some ways that we could keep some of our younger folks here, like yourself and other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I mean, I stayed in Michigan for a few reasons. Started Bamboo with my friends, 12 years ago and kept growing it and was just very committed to that. But a lot of our family were still here. You see a lot of boomerangs, people who leave and go and then want to come back because they want to be around their grandma or their parents. I want my kids to get that experience. Generally, it's a great place to live. Like, yes, affordability is still a challenge in every city, but it's generally more affordable than big cities. And really just the community, especially in Detroit, is just so special. Like people do care and they go out of their way to support you. And it's the same in Grand Rapids. Like when we started exploring opening and renovating an art gallery 2 years ago, I had no idea how many diverse small businesses there were and artists and creatives. When we opened that building at like pretty full, it was kind of wild. We had a great grand opening a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I don't know. For me, it was personal, like cost of living, affordability, and like the culture and the community. So I guess all the things we've been talking about at Bamboo too, ironically.
So have you all thought about opening up co-working spaces for other industries like food or maybe even fine arts or different things like that?
That's a great question. Right now, we do serve all kinds of industries. So creatives, remote workers, tech companies. Generally, I would say if you do your work on a laptop or you need a space for a meeting, we're a good fit. Haven't thought about other segments like artist space, although Grand Rapids is an art gallery that we renovated. And the arts and design community, we hope, will be a part of that, showcasing art a lot. So anyone can use our spaces. Just the offices generally are like, small rooms, lockable, some furniture. So it's really about balancing what sort of amenities and space you need. But all types of companies are welcome.
And we've been hearing about the overflow of office spaces once again since the pandemic. Yet Bamboo and its model seems to be growing in the state of Michigan alone. It's 5 locations now. Just talk about, from your opinion, why do you think it's become a successful model?
I think it's a couple of things we hit on: flexibility, affordability, and then culture and community. Like you got to give people a reason to leave their house. And going to that old corporate office might not be the right fit depending on the generation and the type of company and people you serve. So I think that's also like a company choice. And I think we see everything from large corporations now using Bamboo to small startups. But generally, I would say flexibility, like affordability, and then culture and community.
Amanda Lewen is co-founder of Bamboo Co-working Space. Amanda spoke to me about the importance of co-working spaces for small business owners and entrepreneurs. Coming up, we'll continue to explore what an influx of co-working spaces and hybrid work environments tell us about where workplace culture is headed. You all stay right there. This is The Metro.